pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Marion County Commission payday meeting. Friday, August 29th, 2025, 9 a.m. Start off with the agenda approval. We need to add anything? We're gonna do a short little video.
Yeah, I'll just do that during commission comments. I mean,
Okay.
we can add it to the agenda if you want, but I was just gonna do it during commission comments, so.
Move forward as the agenda as approved and go on to payday approval.
All right, first, sales tax was in your packet for $80,748.83. We have
Just a comment on that. It's, to me, that's kind of indicative of the economy of Marion County. We're down $30,000 through just over half the year. That's a pretty sad indication of the economy of Marion County. I think my understanding is that sales tax is a pretty general view of what your overall economy is, and to see it go down $18,000 in 1 month is a pretty scary. To me, it's pretty scary.
It's coming off of some highs. If we look back at like 2021.
I know 2021, 2022 or 2022 and 2023 was a lot of COVID money injected, but still, I mean, $18,000 in 1 month is pretty significant.
I don't disagree.
And I don't know if it's probably a combination of factors, but and one of them being that people aren't spending their money in Marion County.
They're driving somewhere else.
That's what I mean. They're not spending their money in Marion County. They're going someplace else to spend it because we don't have the resources available here, which is another troubling economic factor. So,
New car sales are a little soft too now.
like, who can afford to buy it?
Those are big ones.
Yeah. You can tell when they have free interest or whatever.
Elcon Services in the amount of $1,520.90.
Move that we make it, for $4,520.90.
Got a motion?
Yes.
Not a second.
Seconds? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Okay, then we have a Western Associates in the amount of $212.
I'll make a motion that we approve the $212 for Western Associates. A motion. Got a second from Ken. All those in favor? Aye. All those abstaining?
I abstain.
Okay, the total payday is $1,819,894.49.
Any questions with the warrants?
I just have one.
Okay.
That air conditioner purchase for health department was outside of the original bid, correct?
Yes.
So do we have to bid for that?
We utilized the contractor that did the rest of the work over there. And that was arranged by the builder, but we were the one to pay it. And I did bring that to you ahead of time for approval. But we did not bid it, no.
That was outside the contract, so we didn't pay the contractor fee on top of it.
Right.
Any other questions? Hearing none. I'll make a motion to approve grand total payday. Thing will work. It won't zoom in for me. Anyway, 1,819,000. I can't read it.
Here,
It's being
it is
difficult.
small.
Getting close to 40.
Yeah, I know. I gotta get some glasses. $1,819,894.29. Second. Second, Clark. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0. Now it works. As soon as the pressure's
We
off.
don't need it.
It's the right color.
I think so. I don't know.
Anything after this? Do we have stuff after this?
I used it up too much, Dave.
Jeez, what'd you decide to do?
It's real fast.
I gave them a copy.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to do Amanda a new pen.
Did your twirler stop working,
It's
or is it slow?
slow. Knocked all the grease out.
Maybe just squirt some graphite in it.
Yeah, there we go. Works on fine with derby cars.
Okay, the minutes didn't make it into the packet. They were sitting at your desk. Did anybody read them? Have a chance? Would you like to approve them or wait till Tuesday?
Might as well read them.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion in a second. All those in favor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Risley Township, their clerk position is vacant, and they found somebody who would like to be appointed, Ben Biebermeyer, if you guys would like to appoint him to that.
Ashley. It's you, Lynn.
It is. I make a motion to go ahead and appoint.
A motion, I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
Then we received another application for the youth and disabled hunt on the landfill. You guys wanna see that? And then we also received where 2 individuals would like to do varmint hunt, and it would be day or night.
These are the Quill Forever folks here.
Yes.
I have a concern on the additional youth disabled hunt. I wanna look at it, but what dates is he, I mean, the original, the permit we approved last week, which I probably should have spoke up then, maybe prematurely approved that. He was requesting access to the property during the entire firearms deer season. What are the dates on this one?
Okay. Starting out with the youth, and regular fire. Is most of the dates, there's a few days on it that aren't, but a majority of them are Xed.
I mean, I spent 27 years managing public hunting on public property, and you have to be very careful. This site is what, 160 acres?
Yeah.
To me, we're setting ourselves up for number 1, conflicts between the hunters, and number 2, a safety issue. I think moving forward, and I'd be glad to set up some guidelines that we can use. We need to have an application date, deadline, and then after all applications are received, review these and kind of space these hunters out. And I mean, this guy's asking to hunt the whole season. I mean, every season.
So how many people does 160 acres support?
2 would be,
Two is push. I haven't been out there to look at it. It depends on the layout, but if it's a former landfill, I'm assuming that it's relatively one big flat spot. And with youth hunters in 160 acres, I would never have more than one person at a time.
that's a disadvantage.
Number 1, because the quality of their hunt is better if they've got it to themselves. And I think we're doing a disservice to the hunters by approving permits this way. We should be limiting them to, if we've only got one application during the application period, that's fine.
And that's the way it was for a number of years.
And that's why I didn't say anything, because I didn't know how many permits we got, but we get. But now we've got a second one that wants to hunt the whole season as well. And you're setting yourself up for conflicts and or safety issues, in my professional opinion, because I've done it professionally for 27 years.
Living for 10 days or something?
At this point, I'm not gonna deny this permit, but moving forward, I think we need to do a better job of managing that. I know it's it's 2 applications, but if you get a kid shot, it's a big deal.
It just takes one bad thing.
It takes one bad thing to make.
Consequences.
We'll give a little
Yeah, it's
background
little
or
bit
kind of a
Quails
little.
Forever, so they kind of tag team up on all
They
this.
do. So this is handled through Quails Forever, and so we grant permission for them to be on the property, that's what we're doing, but it's my understanding that they actually, so the applications come to them before they come to us. And they do coordinate, they kind of have a program where they go out there with the youth and they help them, and then they would coordinate on the dates. So even though they're applying for all the dates, they may not both hunt on both dates. They work together through the Quails Forever folks to arrange that. So that's my understanding of how they're doing it. So if you want me to, I can have, at some point, we can have Randy Jantz come in and talk about kind of how they're doing.
That'd be fine. It's just, to me,
Dale Eilers is very involved with this as
The other
well.
one was youth.
the other
This
one,
one's disabled.
This one's disabled.
So I'm just
Yeah.
clarifying that. There's not two kids. One was a kid. This guy is close to my age. So,
Dale Eilers used to be the one in charge of it, and now Randy's in charge of it.
so I would move that we go ahead and approve the permit for Tory.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. All right, then we got two more permits for varmint. And it's for Clayton and Randall Jantz. So 5%. It's also Quails Forever.
We have an agreement with them to
Help maintain the place.
for land management out there.
Yeah.
So they help maintain it, and then we allow them to utilize it for their hunting programs.
Anybody wanna make a motion for this?
I would like to make a motion, that we approve those two applications with the condition that no hunting be permitted when
Regular seasons?
when permitted hunters are present or will be
Scheduled.
present. So the night before and the day of, any permitted deer hunters are off limits to varmint hunting. So they're not out there the night before
Spooking them off.
Shooting
pushing them off and interfering with, and they work for Quail Forever, so I'm assuming that they shouldn't have an issue with that stipulation, but I just would like that stipulation on the permit. Again,
One of them's the one we approved last go around.
Yeah, one of them's
For the
on the deer
Deer
hunt
hunt.
also.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna spook his own deer, but yeah. Yeah, but that should be a standard going forward anyway. So I would second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
And I did recently have a conversation with Mr. Jantz, and he was very, he's very cognizant of making sure that they're not scaring off game and so forth.
from a commissioner standpoint, I just wanna make it clear that that is our expectation.
Right.
I'm sure that they do that, but from a legal standpoint, I mean, I'm covering our base.
Right, I don't have any problem with your motion, I'm just letting you know that,
And
as you would expect, they are thinking about that.
That is all I have.
Tina?
Really, the only thing that I have is just kind of a notification that through the website, we received a question of whether we require a permit for blasting. And in the county, we do not. And so this was for the company that would be doing the, I can't think of the right word, but to take the blade off of that turbine that needs to be replaced. And so I believe they are gonna be doing some linear charges to get that down. And we do not have any regulations against, we don't require a permit, a local permit for that. That's controlled by ATF. So I just let them know we don't require a permit. And I wanted to let you know that. I think that they are planning to do that later today or sometime next week, so.
I'm gonna be addressing that in commission comments. I talked with Brad Jantz about this yesterday. So if we can table that discussion, so let's go ahead and get done with the rest of the stuff, and if that's okay.
I'm good with it.
I don't have anything else before the budget discussion.
So outside board reports, I emailed just now to Tina, my KAC, trying out my AI stuff. And works out pretty well, so I figured you get more out of it than me just trying to regurgitate what bits and pieces. And so she'll probably forward that on to all of you. It's going good. They're really being budget conscientious and trying to not overdo it. Vendors are almost all completely loaded up. Already exceeded last year's amount of income from, so, and it's not even done. They haven't even closed it yet, but for all the sponsors and vendors, so. Yeah, you'll get it. It's got way more detail, more than you probably want to read, but the AI note taker is very handy, I'll say that. So, any other outside board reports?
Just a comment on that. Did you ever check to see if our
I have and I can't. They
system
won't give us the option
will give you?
of doing that. So I was gonna ask you what you're doing for that AI, but we can,
It was just an app, but I was trying out, and there's a few more apps I'd like to try out before I settle in on this one, but I do know on the Zoom, it allows for an AI transcript to go while the meeting's going. So,
yeah, just go to.
yeah,
I had looked into it, but it wasn't giving me the option to.
Prairie View's been off for the summer. They'll have their first meeting next week for the fall. Not that I haven't been going, I just hadn't had one.
anyway, that's good. All right, Darren.
Good morning.
Is this where I need to mark it?
Yes. That'd be lovely,
Double
thank
check.
you.
All right, 290th. The 3 patches that we had to go up there and fix, we intentionally slightly overpack a patch with asphalt so that because you can't get the same density on a patch that you can when you're doing the original. So we slightly overpack them, which is where the roughness was coming from. But this morning already, they got on site about 8:30. Knowing that they probably wouldn't pack down all the way, Donlinger already had on tap interstate grinding was going to be in here, and they're up there now. They got here at 8:30 this morning. So they're grinding those 3 patches down. So after they get done grinding, we'll probably be short. They're going to probably grind off a little bit of the paint, and we'll take care of getting the paint put back on. So by noon today, they should all be back smooth. So.
We also didn't quite have the heat this summer.
Well, when you start dealing with asphalt patches, you don't necessarily have to have heat. It's more that getting that density in there, and it's just tough when you're in a small patch to get enough compaction. So unfortunately, vehicle traffic go ahead and pack it down the rest of the way. So we found over the history of doing patches on roads, it's better to leave it up, let it get wheel packed for a couple months, like we've had now, a month and a half, and then come in and grind it to take care of it to get it smooth. That way, over the next year, it doesn't continue to settle out on you. Then we have a dip, yeah. So it's being, like I said, they got up there about 8:30 this morning. So. And they're doing flagging with it, so we didn't have to close anything. They're just flagging around the equipment.
How long do they expect that to take? Is that
They'll be done by noon. They're probably already done with the first one and probably maybe even on to the second one or maybe moving to the third one by now. It does not take those guys long. Interstate grinding they move fast, so.
What about the cracks just west of the tracks in both lanes?
I've still talked to Donlinger about that. That is something that we had that happen up on 330th too. The best thing we can do is just seal them and monitor them. There's not a rhyme or reason. You go down and you look at the base, because when this happened up on 330th years ago, we went and cored them. And the crack doesn't go on through the base. It's kind of a weird anomaly with asphalt, and there's not a reason why it does it. And it's not going to get any worse. You can go look at the ones on 330th. They don't get any worse. So the plan right now is just to get those sealed and monitor them.
There's two others where the hedgerow comes up there.
Right there, all between the co-op's entrance and Wichita.
And there's another mile or two down, there's another one.
Is there one starting to develop? Okay, we'll go take a look at that too. But we'll just get them sealed.
What's the time frame for that, Darren?
The sealing? I don't know yet. I'll have to get back with you on that. Before winter, so that we don't get moisture and freezing moisture in them.
Okay.
So. And then I don't have on 140th, the contractor is coming back to fix that next spot that we had those patches done or whatever is happening. And once again, a different type of asphalt anomaly. And on that one, the contractor's Pearson's coming back in to do them. They haven't given us a date yet. With all this rain, they're trying to finish up other projects that have been pushed and pushed and pushed. So, but they are aware of them. They're going to come back in and fix that. I just don't have a time frame to put on that one yet for you. And Tina, did you want these? You want them now?
Sure.
I didn't know if you wanted me to go over that at all.
Oh. Do you have, yeah, I mean, if you,
This is just the parking fees.
Okay.
Right now.
is that okay?
rather than have him come back for
All right.
something else?
Tina asked us to take a look at the ADA parking out here and see what it would take to add for delivery and additional ADA spaces. So what we've got on here is adding, going from the concrete pad that's out there now, we fill in all the way up to the sidewalk here on the building side, and then also add some spaces on the outside of that. So I think we can increase it to 1, 2, 3, 4. We could potentially have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We actually could have 6 ADA spaces out back then, plus that whole spot between that last yellow line clear to the building would be delivery zone. So theoretically, with the space we'd have in there, you could actually have 2 delivery vehicles dropping off, and then they're on a hard surface, either to come right down the steps or make it back to the end of the ramp and go on down. So the estimate that you see, that's my estimate. We asked Davey to just look at this to give us a number of his thoughts, and he's been so busy he hasn't gotten back to me with a number, and I didn't want to hold that anymore. So this is just me throwing some numbers at it based on some other bids we've had.
I was thinking he's talked about $12 a square foot. Does that sound right? I could be wrong. He gave me that number in the.
$12 a square foot times 9. That'd be 108, and I put on there 150. So that'd be cheaper than what I show.
And that makes,
I kept mine a little higher.
it was in the teens, I know that,
So-
per square foot.
The nice thing is there's not a lot of dirt work to do. The only thing we'd have to do dirt work wise is the last end of the last space before you get out to the other parking lot out there. We have to keep it up just a little bit, so it wouldn't be filled, but we wouldn't cut out as much. But the rest of it all up in here is just cut, so it's not a lot of prep, it's just dig it out, put some base in.
Another concern was to redo that sidewalk.
The sidewalk, okay, so what I'm giving you right here right now is just the parking.
With this project, redo that sidewalk at the same project, if that's possible.
I've got a separate deal we're working on to present a phased plan
Yeah,
for
we're trying to do it
all of the
phased.
sidewalk around the whole complex. And that's one little piece of the sidewalk piece is that stretch, that east-west stretch, as well as redoing a little bit of this north-south run.
I think it'd be easy to do that little stretch if we do this.
It won't physically connect to this necessarily, so it could be done either independently or at the same time.
We run into problems a lot of the time with deliveries. We really need a place for loading and unloading. And so, because we don't want the delivery vehicles or any of those big vehicles taking, like trying to temporarily be in those current handicap spots, so.
The thought I had where we've got just this light pole with a light, can that light be mounted back to the building
That pole,
to eliminate it?
yeah, the pole.
And the wires that are there?
We're trying to figure out what the wires, what they're really for. We did look at that.
And the pole, in this plan, the
I think
pole,
it only, it services just that light, I believe.
It goes on, I think it actually goes on over to the other building too, if I remember right.
the pole, in this plan, the pole is moved.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
we have to move it to be able to do this.
Right, that's what would be beneficial. We can
And
put
we
the light
had to figure out
somewhere else.
A new light could be mounted on the building,
Or
or maybe another one added on further. There's another pole out by the end for the other end. Facing back this way.
let's get that overhead wire if we are gonna do any delivery to where nobody gets into it or something would be.
So anyway, Tina asked us to take a look at this, and the only other thing that's not really shown on here would be probably adding in front of that new delivery area is to probably put in some more crushed base out in front of it. Right now it's just grass, and so delivery vehicles backing in there, especially if they're bigger ones, would want to sink in. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be concrete surfaced, but it could be. Each one of those spaces right now is 25 feet long. That's what that concrete that's out there now. So we didn't see any reason to make it any bigger to the east.
I think that's adequate.
Smaller delivery vehicles be completely up on the concrete. Bigger ones, their front vehicle would probably be off of it, but the rears where they're going to be dropping their delivery is all going to be on concrete. So anyway, I mean, we can further help if you want to proceed at some point with, getting quotes from contractors to proceed, or however you want to do it. But we just thought we'd, at least show you the plan that, yes, it's doable. It's relatively easy. It's not like we're fighting a big, huge, there's no other utilities to move other than the power pole or anything like that, so.
And we do have a buried fiber between buildings that we'll have to watch for.
They'll just have to hand dig when it gets located.
Yeah.
It'll be deep enough we won't mess with it with our.
Yeah, it should be.
Should be.
Should be.
You put in the crushed rock, and that's when it'll get it. When you're excavating to put down the rock, that's when you'll get it.
Get somebody to put it at 10 inches instead of 18.
It's fiber. It doesn't have a code roof.
I know.
It doesn't have a burial depth. It's not lethal like electricity.
As long as they get it located in the right spot, usually we're good. It's when they forget to mark them that's when we usually find them real nice.
Yeah, and that's something we're gonna have to mark, cause
It's yours.
it's ours, yeah.
We need a motion to proceed with it.
Well, it's whether the board wants to do it or not, so, I don't know if you're planning.
We got budget stuff coming up. So we probably talk about that then.
I'm ready today.
Spend money that we don't have.
Yeah, we gotta have the money first.
So, all right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Anything else, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
packet folder I put.
Got the weight.
It's a spreadsheet.
the packet folder.
Yeah. Packet area. If, you don't have to display it if you don't want to, but it's in there.
See what the AI summary looks like.
There's that, but also yeah, that's version 3. That's the one that, yeah, I got it. Okay. So I gave you all some notes this morning, and then I also, I did send you this in case you wanna look at it. The spreadsheet, that's the budget form, we draft right now. It's got a whole bunch of tabs across the bottom, so if you're familiar with Excel workbooks, you can look at all the pages. But when I print them out, it doesn't show the color, and I use the color for certain things when I made changes. So hopefully we can just kind of talk through high level, and then you can let me know what you want to do. So I've got the notes that which I'll go through with you, and we can show the fund as we go. I have not made all the changes on the general fund yet because I haven't had a chance. But I gave you a couple of sheets on the table or at your spot. One of them says neighborhood revitalization rebate. You'll see that. So on this sheet, it basically shows you what the taxes would be before, like what it was when I was putting them in. And then on this sheet, it applies that neighborhood revitalization rebate, and it shows how much the rebate is. And then I have to go back, which I have done, and adjust all those funds back. So I have to reduce the spending to account for funding this neighborhood revitalization program. And so the amount of the neighborhood revitalization rebates is $122,460. Does everybody see that? And it's spread out through all the different funds. So that has been entered in here at each fund level. Okay? And then the other thing that I gave you is a budget summary page. And the three columns on the right pertain to the 2026 proposed budget. The next two columns are what we're expecting for where we're expecting to finish 2025, and then we have prior year actuals over on the left. And so at the very bottom, I've highlighted for you in the middle there, at the very bottom, last year, the tax revenue required to fund the budget was $13,215,104. Does everybody see that yellow? Over on the right, second column from the left, right now, the tax for the 2026 budget, which I have prepared as revenue neutral, but I'm going to go over what that looks like for all the funds. We have $13,212,187. The spreadsheet does some rounding things, and so I'm going to try to get it as close to exact as that previous year. Right, so we can do the 69.842, which is the revenue neutral rate. Right now, we're sitting at 69.832. So it's just rounding here and there that's doing that. So this just shows for each fund, the way I have it in here right now, which is not final, but we do need to decide today where you want funds allocated, because we will have to publish, and I'm gonna have to have that to the paper on Monday, which is a holiday here, so anyway, you can see keep in mind in the 2025 columns where it says expenditures, that doesn't mean that's the authority that we have to spend. So we budget to where we can spend everything. So we have authority to spend the money if we need to. So that isn't actual. But we do at this point try to get it as close to actual as we can as we go through the funds. So you can see the prior year actuals, what we actually spent over all the way on the left.
Well, there's that, we talk about sports.
And then we can, some of the tax levies went up a little bit, and some went down a little bit, depending on the needs of the fund and the health of each fund. So I didn't keep all of the taxes, I was not able to keep the taxing dollars the same for every single fund as it was previous. And I can go through the notes and we can look on the workbook and go over everything, if that helps you. Okay. That was kind of my plan, but I did want to at least provide these for you also, so that you have a overall picture. These forms are a little bit confusing if you're not used to looking at them all the time, and so I wanted to make sure I had sort of a narrative for you. Can go to the general. You can use your little Zoom thing and get a little smaller. Not so small they can't see it. So I don't know if you want to open yours, but she's got it up on the screen. So if we're looking at the, we're on the, sorry, my computer's wigging out. Stop it. It's telling me good morning. I don't care. Sorry. What doing that?
I was just looking what tab you were on.
All right, on the tab, I'm on the general tab. And I'm gonna make it to where I can see what I'm doing. So the green, all of the green tabs or the green cells on this are places that we type numbers in. And so they come green like that and then we fill them in. So all the prior year actuals are in here and they've been checked. The first thing that I did, and which is the first budget note here, is on all of the funds I've gone through and I've adjusted the revenues on the middle column, the current year, away from estimates or to a closer estimate based on what we know so far. So if it's an increase, the text is in black. If it's a decrease, either in revenue or cost, I put the text in red so you can see that. So our watercraft tax, we already have more than what we budgeted, so I've upped that. Zoning fees, that's the current amount, which is higher than our revenue estimate. Same thing with interest and penalties on taxes, tax sale fees, et cetera, because we don't typically budget in there. We budget zero and then whatever we get, we can add in. And that's what we've received so far. Those will be paid out for legal fees and abstract fees, but we should still show them on the revenue side. There are, see those two pink cells that are 30,000 each. That's the special auto closeout. We budget that at 30,000 each year, but we haven't had it for the last couple of years. I believe we will have some this year, but I don't know the amount yet. So I should know that fairly soon. But anyway, all of these are kind of updated. Driver's license fees I reduced because we budgeted 3,000. We haven't, it doesn't look like maybe we'll hit that. So I just reduced that. It's a small thing. But anyway, you can see all the yellows are where I've made adjustments. If you go down to the in lieu tax line toward the bottom here, last year, so the way we had our first in lieu of tax from the Sunflower Project last year, and the way that they do it is they pay the county and then we distribute out to the different entities that are eligible for payment in lieu of taxes. So that's not just our portion. And we haven't done that since I've been here, tried to figure out how to do that. And so we tried different things. It didn't, we have a fund called Payment in lieu of Tax that's on the general fund. So we put it in there and then we were gonna distribute out the portions that need to go out, but that actually didn't work well. So you can see this year then, we've taken it out of there. That's in the middle column. Okay, and you can see a few squares up here, a few cells up where it says sunflower wind income in lieu / other. I have 514,000 in there because the county's portion of the in lieu tax is half of that. It's that 257,000. So in the middle column, I'm reflecting the payment that we received last year in the right place, and then the expected payment for this year, which will be later in the year. And then next to that, I have the 257,000 in the 2026 column, which we would expect to receive toward the end of next year. So that is a little confusing. I want to make sure that you understood that. Does anybody have questions about that? Okay. Let's see. So in the general fund, if we go to the detail tab, I have not gone through and adjusted all of this because I have met with and discussed areas that we can trim. I've met with the sheriff, register of deeds, treasurer, emergency management, judicial district, and they're actually reducing their request. We looked at this year and next year, so they're giving a little bit, and then the county attorney. I haven't met with Ashley yet, planning and zoning or dispatch. So, but anyway, that general detail tab isn't all the way up to date. But if we, can we go down a little bit on this page? Just all the way down, not on that detail one, on there, sorry.
In general?
Yeah, the general tab, all the way down. Anyway, on the general tab itself that we were on, you can see all those light yellow, I guess go up a little bit. So those are where all the departments are right now. And so those numbers on the very right and in the current year and next year, some of those may change slightly, but the overall total for the fund will stay the same. We're gonna try to adjust between different things. So if, like, most of the departments in the general fund, we're making cuts to, and so that will show up as additional cash in the 2026 column. Because right now, if you go down here, that 1,228,000, that's kind of in that pink square at the bottom. You see that? Minus the neighborhood revitalization and plus a few dollars there. I haven't combined all that yet, but roughly $1.2 million is the cash carryover in the general fund, and almost all of that is wind farm money right now. It's not any other kinds of revenue or any other type of funds that is remaining. So what I would like to do is, we are tracking that in a separate fund, but I think that it's time to go ahead and just bring that into the general fund from both of the wind farms and just keep that as a line item in the general fund, and it'll be easier to kind of watch. But anyway, all of those departments will change slightly because I have, like I said, I've met with most of them. I know what some of the changes will be, but I haven't made the changes yet. And so that cash line will increase a little bit. We're not getting a lot back, but we will have some to add to that. So, does anybody have questions? Some other things that I put on the notes to consider are the appropriation funds. So if you look at the general detail tab, and then go all the way down to where we're doing the prairie view and all of those. Okay. So if you see the, right in the middle there, the appropriation funds, mental health contracts, the CDDO, the conservation district, the fair, and then, yeah, all of those. That's a total of, I can't even see that, 230.
2,877.
Yeah, I guess I do need to wear my glasses. 232,877. So I did not make any reductions on any of those allocations. We also have some that we pay out of sales tax, which are just above here, like at the very top of the screen. That is for the food bank, Families and Communities Together, CORE, which is the poverty program, Kansas Legal Services, and so those allocations, I did not reduce any of those. So those are things that it's up to the board whether you want to consider reducing any of those allocations to those other agencies. One other thing to consider is we have been paying utility payments. We pay up to $50 a month for utilities for the different museums in the county. And we've done that ever since I've been here. And so that is something, it's not a big amount over the course of a year, but that is something that you would have to decide if you want to continue or not. That's something that's not truly a county service, but we are helping to support. Okay? Does anybody have questions?
What is a pictometry?
That is our contract for our
GIS mapping.
the GIS mapping. They fly over and do the different layers, and we have a 3-year contract on that right now. We pay that as sales tax because it's available to multiple departments, not just, it's handled by the appraiser's office, but we don't pay it out of that budget. Any other questions right now? Okay.
How many museums are there that we do this for?
What?
How many museums are there that we do this for?
Oh, let's see. 4? Because we have Marion? Do you know them? Marion, Gossel, Peabody, Burns, Florence. 5. Sometimes it's $50 a month per museum. Sometimes it's less. We do up to $50. And sometimes, that doesn't necessarily pay their whole bill. In the general fund also, where's this at? I reduced the multi-purpose building project line item by $250,000 in the current year. I just need to make mine bigger. I may keep making it smaller somehow. That is where we pay, that's where we pay for things like our masonry work that's happening and just some other kinds of building things that we're doing that we don't have budgeted elsewhere right now. So so we did have 500,000 in this year. I've reduced it to 250,000. We do have this masonry project. We have other expenses that we've taken out of there. We also took our land purchase out of there for the Peabody project. So that's where a project like the parking lot would come out of. Okay. I did put the 500,000 in there for next year. Future projects and improvements. This, we had 600,000 in here, and I've taken that out completely. So to be able to stay revenue neutral, we are not gonna be able to save up for future projects here. So that's kind of where we are with the general fund. Any questions at the moment? On the other funds, I have met with Department on Aging, Health Department, Weed, Transfer Station, HHW, Road and Bridge, and Ambulance. I haven't had a chance yet to meet with Isaac. And then I just kind of went through for each fund, the adjustments that I made. And of course, the bigger funds are the ones that you have more room to adjust to make a real impact. So that means that Road and Bridge is one that's been adjusted quite a bit. So let's look at that. Because there's, let's see. So if we go to
The detail or?
let's just go to the summary first. Okay. On the Road and Bridge, on the revenues, we didn't have anything budgeted on 2025 for federal exchange. We have been participating in that every year for quite some time. So I put 65,000 in there as a conservative estimate. Providing that service is still being done next year by the state. This year, we had, I believe, 95,000 in there or 96. Our actual amount that we'll receive is 93,204, so I've adjusted that down. I added in 30,000 for reimbursements because we've had some insurance claims and then we sold some scrap metal, so that is in there. And then we will be transferring the Road and Bridge sales tax portion from the general fund into Road and Bridge to fund Blacktop instead of paying it out of the general fund. So that's the approximate amount of that transfer that's gonna be happening. Okay, then if you look at the bottom here, over to the right, you see that 218,000, and then right above that I've adjusted off the neighborhood revitalization rebate, so that difference would be the cash carryover in the Road and Bridge fund. So it is a small amount. I do want to mention I have not reduced our transfers for equipment and for road projects. So that money could come back to the Road and Bridge fund if we get in a jam. So, but also you would not be able to do projects or buy equipment. So we hope we don't get to that point. If we go to the detail, I have a lot of marks on here. So first of all, in the, and I need to go over all of these proposed changes with the department heads too, to make sure that they understand them and that they're on board, as long, if the board approves them. I don't know. Okay, sorry, I'm having some really weird computer things, just like, probably because I've had too much coffee today and I'm pushing buttons. Okay, it's a real thing. So, twitchy. Contractual in the administrative area of Road and Bridge. I did reduce that. And also the capital outlay for the current year. That's something that would buy computers and things like that. I've adjusted in all the categories in the current year based on the salaries where we think that they're actually going to end up because they haven't been fully staffed all year. So we're utilizing those funds to help fund the rest of the budget. As of right now, there's not much contractually that has come out of the Blacktop. And the thing that would come out of, that's a contractual service that we haven't done yet would be striping, and typically that can come out of the capital improvement fund. So this one would be okay. You're not gonna make that maybe. Cancel it. Gravel. This is just based on, so I've reduced the salaries, I've reduced contractual, based on what it looks like right now. I've reduced the rock for the current year. I didn't change things, as it was for next year. It is unlikely that we would utilize the whole amount that was budgeted, which I think was 1.5. I did talk to Steve about blacktop commodities, and I did increase that a little bit in the current year to reflect what we've actually spent, but he doesn't believe that we're going to probably use that whole budget because of all the weather delays and so forth. So, and I also should tell you our chip spreader broke down. So we are leasing one from Morris County, just keep you up to date on that. So instead of being able to chip seal as soon as they wanted to, I think they're gonna start maybe Wednesday, so. Building projects. So in the current year, I went ahead and took the 400,000 out of the bridge project line. I don't believe we're doing any bridges this year. Normally, we have budgeted that at 400,000. A lot of years we don't use it. I took it out for this year and did keep it for next year. And then our building line item here, our goal is 2 million. I had initially, we had $1 million in here, 500,000 on each column. I took the to zero on the current year and I reduced it from $1 million to 700,000. I put that all on the next year because that gives us the most budget authority. We have flexibility that way. Since we already budgeted this year, we can spend it this year if we have the money. But by moving it to next year, it also allows us, if we need to spend it next year, we can, if we have it. Does that make sense? Okay. Fuel, based on current estimates, we're in good shape on fuel, so I reduced it a little bit for the current year. We should hit that, and the same thing with the road signs. We should be okay on that. Shop equipment, we are looking at a new tire machine. I'll be bringing that to you on Monday, and then we had to buy a new bench vise, and that's expensive, so not a bench vise, it's a vise.
I was gonna say a bench.
Not a bench vise.
Shouldn't be very expensive.
Sorry, no, it's a vise, but it's about $2,500. So it's not a bench vise. I think that'd be expensive. So anyway, I left that 50,000 there for the shop equipment, and I reduced that for next year. I know they're needing at some point to do a lift, and that's about $60,000. So as of right now, that's not in here. And then I do have our transfers for equipment here. Any questions on any of that? I think if we're careful, that should all be doable. The thing that is concerning is the cash carryover. And you're gonna see that's to be expected when we do the revenue neutral 2 years in a row. We're already budgeting fairly tight, so. Let's see what else. Can you go and send an email?
Yeah, like I guess.
Cancel that meeting. We'll still do the 11 o'clock. Thanks. And that's just for the enterprise stuff. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. Is this helpful? I mean, is this okay to go through this?
It's however you.
I just wanna make sure that you see it and that you're on board with it.
Picking up
And
some of it from your
if there's,
notes too,
yeah.
like try to preemptively look for what you're going to.
Right, exactly. And so I'm also, there's an opportunity if there's something that doesn't line up with what you were expecting for us to maybe try to change it. But we would need to know, today on that kind of high level. Okay. Ambulance. I did, oops, where am I at? That's a printer. Okay. The one adjustment here is for personnel. I did reduce the current year we haven't been fully staffed. I also reduced the next year's budget a little bit on personnel. I know we're trying to potentially staff another station, but I think we are gonna have to do it within the budget that we have. We have, we could potentially look at doing away with supervisor position or something like that. I think that this number is doable. And then keep in mind on any funds that I'm reducing, we would have the flexibility, as long as we have cash, to pay expenses out of the general fund if necessary. So I've reduced the personnel numbers. I've reduced the vehicle replacement line, and then since we're handling that one through fleet, I've moved the ambulance replacement to next year's line. We can spend that in either year. So if we need to replace an ambulance this year, we did have it in there for this year, so we could do it this year or next year. Or if we can't afford to do it, then we won't. I reduced the building line item here. I believe it was 350,000 in the previous. And I think we're moving, like with these line item reductions in the building funds, I know that you're looking at building and building. We'd be looking at potentially going away from funding it through this way to potentially funding by a lease purchase and paying a payment. We would have to, depending on the price, we would likely have to do it. It'd be subject to a protest petition for a lease purchase on a lease purchase that size for a building. I believe. I want to double check that, but I think that is, if it's over 350,000, I think that is the case. Okay, I did leave some money in building maintenance, and I left the rescue equipment transfer in for both years. That's another thing. We are required to fund rescue, but we could potentially, you may be able to reduce that, I'm not sure. It's kind of up to you all what you prioritize. Okay, that's where we are in ambulance. Any questions? Feedback, comments, changes?
Rescue equipment, that's not mandated,
There is a statute.
but the amount wise.
No. Okay. Then below that, we have, thank you. We have the appraiser. This one, I adjusted salaries to reflect estimated actuals.
I'll be back.
I reduced the vehicle replacement, and I also took out the digital mapping expense for this year, which is unlikely to be spent. I just put it in for next year and converted the one from this year to help with the cash carryover. Any questions about that? From the Department on Aging, there's not much wiggle room there. I did try to adjust salaries to projected actuals. I reduced the vehicle replacement, and we'll put it on next year and put it to transfer to fleet. We aren't replacing that vehicle with this current round. On election, I just put in some actual numbers of some proposed revenues that we didn't have in there before, and on election, we had a target of $150,000 for voting equipment. I put in $200,000. We had some in on the current year, I think it was 50-some thousand, which I moved over. So that just gives Ashley flexibility. She can buy equipment up to her current year budget this year, or she has more budget authority to do it next year by moving that line item over.
No, that's when you're gonna need it.
Right.
Midterms and
Right, and
So
so,
I won't be getting anything this year.
okay, well, good, then that zero is a good. So anyway, I have increased that, I have not reduced anything else. I've put cash reserve in at 40,000. And so the levy in this fund does go down, but the actual spending authority is going up in that fund. So technically, she's got more to spend than she would have had this year. But the levy rate is going down just slightly. And I have not confirmed that yet with her. It's just preliminary. Anybody have questions about that? Okay. Employee benefits. The only real change I made on here was on the unemployment. Our unemployment is less this year than what we budgeted should be by about half, and so I've just reduced that to reflect expected actuals. This fund is always really tight. I didn't make any changes really on any of those lines. Let's see, do we have anything else in about that? Oh, just that it's tight. Department. I increased the chemical sales based on what we know today, that revenue. I took out the capital outlay, that would be for the current year. And one thing I did do is for next year, you see the salaries actually increased. Right now, the way we fund positions in that department, we have some that are split. So we're paying part of one of the employees, half of the salary is paying out of weed and the other half's out of the transfer station. That transfer station budget is really not very workable, so I've adjusted to pay the full salary for that employee out of weed department. And so that's why that's higher. And they actually are doing more at the weed department now than they are at the transfer station. So it makes sense too with the duties, the way they're divided. Does anybody have questions about any of this? There is a 20,000, so every year we've been transferring from the weed department into the capital outlay fund. They're one of the funds that has their own capital outlay, and so they use that to buy equipment and things like that. And so instead of accumulating it within this fund, they actually have a fund to save for that. And so he had put in for a $20,000 transfer for next year instead of $10,000. If we don't do that, and we can do it, but if we don't, it adds to the cash in this fund. Okay. Health Department.
I have one question.
Okay.
Back on the employee benefits.
Uh-huh.
If I recall, we went to a self-funded medical insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I see that, I know my medical insurance goes up every year, so I understand why it's going up, but do we have an estimate of how much, or if that is saving us any money? I mean, do we have a
It's-
comparison of,
I did for the first half of, I can bring that back to you. It did save us in 2024. It is not probably gonna save us this year. We're not having as good a year as we did last year. And I would bet that our rates are probably gonna go up on the part that is the premium base. So we are probably gonna have to make some decisions about whether we're gonna reduce coverage or not. But as of right now, I think we're able to budget even, but it's too soon to tell. It takes like a couple year cycle to really tell if that's gonna be a good thing for us. But in 2024, it did save us. So far in 2025,
Couple that,
we have some high claim.
yeah.
Get heart attacks and babies.
No.
So anyway.
It's the other thing.
And at any time that you wanna see some of that, we can talk in executive session, because some of that information that's specific, that is health information.
and I just wanna make sure that we're keeping an eye on that and making sure that that is still the best option for the county.
We are keeping an eye on it, but
all- that's all.
we're still learning it too, because this is our first full year of doing it, so anyway, yeah. But it's,
And health insurance going up next year.
anyway, I budgeted it the same basically. I just put the savings from the unemployment and tacked it onto the health insurance, cause that's our big,
Okay.
big line item, okay? Ready to move on? Okay. Okay, health department, right now is a lot of unknowns in the health department. We know that some of the funding is cut. I haven't made a whole lot of changes here. I have talked to Krista. Basically, where there are cuts, she's trying to offset those cuts with cuts in the related service. And so, I did make another change. I just made one change on here to reduce the capital outlay from what was requested for next year. And I did increase the levy on this a little bit, but I also did not include any cash carryover. So this fund, it depends a lot on how much medical billing we do, or how many immunizations we do and collect for, and a lot on the grant funding. So there's a lot of unknowns about it right now.
I have a question on this. I know the past couple months, we've seen a lot of invoices for health department for vaccinations, vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, vaccines have an expiration date. Do we have a handle on how much of that vaccine are we using, and how much of it is expiring and being thrown away?
Okay, I can check on that.
If you can check on that, I'd appreciate it, because I know they have an expiration date and they're expensive,
Right.
and I want to make sure that we're not buying a bunch of vaccines and they're sitting there until they go bad and then we're throwing them away.
I think they kind of buy them as they need them. I mean, I feel pretty comfortable that 95% of them.
Yeah, but it's good to check. Trust but verify, so we can do that.
That's all I'm asking.
Awesome. I love that Reagan.
Isn't that a
It's
Reaganism?
Reagan. I love that one.
Okay. Let's see. Solid waste. I reduced the contractual slightly for the current year on the HHW. And then for next year on the landfill costs, I did increase that because we are gonna have some costs for land management out there. We talked, I think I mentioned that in one of my reports, we need to do some
I'm gonna lead
land
by example.
management. Yeah, so I did increase that to cover some of those costs, like to do a spring burn and some other things, so. But the overall budget, it's the same amount of tax funding that budget.
I think you had mentioned on that landfill management that you were gonna have Quail Forever come in and talk about what they wanted to do.
Well, I met with the departments and so it would be the weed department, planning and zoning, because they're in charge of the monitoring wells out there. And I met with the Quail Forever folks last Friday. And so they were gonna talk to their board, and then we were gonna try to work together, come up with kind of just a plan, but it includes and that can come to the board too, but it includes basically what we initially talked about would be doing some clearing of some cedar trees, potentially utilizing road and bridge for that, and then doing some burning out there in the spring of certain areas. We would mow, so the weed department will go out, and before we do that burn, they would mow some different areas. And then when we do that burn, we're gonna try to involve, see if we can possibly utilize some of the fire departments and as a training exercise. And so we'll do it in the most reasonable way we can. And then after we burn it, go spray. So it's a multi-step that we
Yeah,
just need to.
I've done that for 27 years, so
Oh, great.
I know what that involves.
Yeah.
I'm just, if, I know that there's a lot of individuals in the county that do a lot of prescribed burning. And if we get a plan together, I think we can get some interest in some volunteers to help with that burning.
Oh, yeah.
At no cost to the county. I mean, so I guess I'd like to be involved in that process and involve the community where we can, and
Right.
community involvement in that aspect, so.
I'd like to participate when I could.
I'll furnish the match.
You're right at the corner with the wind at your back.
Okay. Any questions? All right, park. The range, I guess I need to go back and make sure I'm not missing.
I'll hit them all.
Okay, good. On park, I reduced the commodities line just a little bit during this year. I know that there were some plans to try to do possibly the floor and possibly tables and chairs in the lake hall, and that was one of the goals that was also set for that to happen. So I left some money in capital outlay. I did reduce the capital outlay for next year, so that means that upgrades or projects, would likely be reduced. I took completely zeroed out for the garage. I added the current known revenue and expenditures for events. And then we did have an expense to redo the picnic tables. There's a certain type of wood that we have to use because of the historic aspect, and so that is being done out there. So those stone picnic tables that has already been purchased. Really, that was that's the only thing I changed. I put a little bit of cash reserves in there, but we have kind of been living off the cash in that fund for a few years, so I did raise the levy in this one slightly. Does anybody have questions? Other things that you can do or think about are revenue streams out there, which are the camping fees and the rental fees, things like that. So, okay. The next one is special bridge. I changed the salaries in here to reflect the actuals for the current year. And I added a reimbursed expense in there. That's for culverts that people have purchased primarily. And then we are going to utilize probably all the money that's budgeted for culverts and such this year, so I did not reduce that. And I did budget it as if we were gonna fill open positions there that we've been trying to fill, so. And this one, it ended up being reduced slightly. I haven't created a fund, a page for the budget yet to show the fleet, but you can see in the different departments where I've designated some funds that would go to that to be able to, I haven't shown in the budget yet to be able to, where it shows the revenue and the payments. Transfer station. Okay.
Yeah, I'm struggling. Transfer station.
It's over a few tabs.
It's out of.
Yeah, it's not a levied fund. It's funded all by fees, and so it's over in a different.
Risk management transfer.
Yeah, it's under risk management tab. And I wasn't gonna go through on risk management and all that, but I mean, you can look those over. Those can change a little bit. So I'm actually primarily just going through the levied funds and then the transfer station because it's like a kind of a big deal here. So I did increase the assessment fees for both years. Usually we try to budget revenue very conservative, but it looks like we will hit that 800 on the current year. That's through the tax assessment fee, the solid waste assessment that's on the tax statements. Construction demolition, I upped the budget on that for both years. And current year, looking at where we are right now, we should hit that. Tires, mattresses, and on recycling, I reduced that because we are having less participation there. So we're collecting less than we did before. City of Hillsborough is the only one hauling in now, and then a few private individuals that bring their recycling. So we're not collecting a lot there. I adjusted the salaries to reflect actual estimates, and then on 2026, I reduced it by the amount of that person that is currently split. Transfer station pays their own benefits too, so we don't charge the employee benefits for that. It completely funds its own operation. I did increase contractual in this current year because we are probably going to exceed what we had initially on the budget. The tipping fees at Butler County keep going up, and they're going to probably continue. Equipment, the capital outlay, I did increase that because we bought that loader. You can see the offsetting lease purchase proceeds right below that, but we also have a trailer on order, so. The contractual for recycling, that's the expense side of it. And you can see next year I zeroed that. I don't see how you're gonna continue to take in less and pay out more for recycling and keep a budget going. So the way it is in the budget right now, that doesn't mean that's an action you'll have to take, but I didn't see how I could budget for it. So just, you know, that's where we are with that at the moment. We have the lease purchase on the building, which is $148,000 a year. And that if we had to and we had money in the general fund, we could pay that out of the general fund.
I ask this all the time. How many more on the lease purchase?
Let's see.
Was it 26, 27?
No.
You're
Oh,
paying out to the
15 years,
Yeah.
I believe. It's on here. I can go look. On the lease purchase form, we have the transfer station, 180 months. And it was done in September of 2020. LP form. On the LP form, on the tabs, that's all our lease purchases shown, so. So it's 15 years, right? Okay. So 2035.
Okay. Need to write that in behind the building. 2035.
Yeah.
It'll come up next year.
Oh, I think I did get some cash in here. Go back and look at
I can't appreciate you. Like the others got married.
Well, I knew it was 2020, but I just couldn't remember
no,
the
I didn't.
term.
Also, you might notice on this, I didn't put any cash reserves in here. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Neighborhood revitalization, I have that as just a point. I've already talked about it a little bit. It was, for this year's budget, this coming budget is $122,000. So, we have, it's less now than it has been over the years, but, you know, at some point you need to decide if that's something you're gonna continue or if you're going to discontinue that.
About every year.
I know, I wish I knew a different program that was more of a incentive to bring in something that would bring in jobs.
So, as part of your you don't have to decide that right this second. I think as part of your strategic planning process that you're going to do this towards the end of this year and going into next year, that's something to really look at and look at options and you need to set your priorities of what your vision is for the county, get the input from the public, and then just see what's out there. Because there are different things that we could potentially do. So I think you'll have a good opportunity.
Successful program.
It's always chicken and egg when it comes to that, you know. Do you try
Right.
to incentivize this way or try to incentivize this way?
And I think part of, you know, determining what the actual citizens' needs are, and that strategic planning area is gonna be really helpful for you to gain some more insight on that. That's my opinion.
Most of them you tear down and rebuild.
I meant more, do you incentivize the jobs, and then the jobs bring the people create the houses, or is it the other way around? You can't get the people, so you can't create the jobs. It's always a chicken and egg. But anyway,
Okay, so next steps, for today, I kinda need to know how you feel about the way that things are allocated between the funds.
I think it's just good to go, move forward, except for try to recoup that, 1/10 of a percent.
Yeah, I'll do that. If I can get it in the general fund, that's where I want it, but I tried that earlier, it wouldn't let me, so I'll have to see.
Well, and then, then also when you play with that, then you gotta do it like sales tax, right? You can only bump it a little bit because neighborhood revitalization will mess with you when you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I have to go back and change it again, so.
It's
Does anybody have any different feedback?
Realize it's gonna be a tight year.
It's gonna be tight.
We do have a few different options, you know. We budget for the budgeted transfers, but we still have to vote on when they come around. That kind of, we can be looking at our fund balances at that time. So we do have some option on that. There was one year that we didn't do budgeted transfers, kind of a tight year.
And the recycling part of things, I know. That's gonna be a hot topic. Me and you. But, yeah. I don't.
And I can put it back in here, but we're gonna have to show revenue offset the expense, and otherwise we won't be able to do it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not gonna work.
and just, so you can, I mean, I can't say we're canceling it. I just,
Put it on hold.
how do you fund it?
So do you want me to put a revenue and an expenditure line back in that match each other?
It's going away, isn't it?
Not over where I'm at. Over. And the further you go that way, the more heartache, just because they don't have it. If they had a chance to get in on it, they would.
Okay. Does everybody feel like I should put it in with offsetting revenue and expense?
I think we got it.
To where if it pays for itself, it would
Yeah.
stay? Okay. I'll do that.
Back to the general tab. Back in January when I started, I suggested that the commission lead by example and reduce their salaries. I see the commission budget went from 143 estimate for 2025 to 156. I would propose a 10% reduction in our salaries this year to bring that back down to 2025 levels and lead by example.
One thing I want to show you on the detail tab of that. The difference, part of the difference is I've got the county counselor there. So we had 55,000 in the budget for county counselor this year. I reduced it to the actual, and then I left it in at 55 for next year because I didn't know what you all wanted to do. The actual increase in the commission budget, actually I think the commission budget is flat. I did increase the wages according to a step for electeds, but then I also reduced the contractual and the capital outlay. So I just want to make sure that you have that full picture. You may still want your motion, but it's the 13,000 of that increase there. It is from the county counselor. So.
I'm just saying that, we're asking all these other departments to make cuts. We need to lead by example is my only point. So however we can get that done,
I agree with you, but I think those are all set by, what, in June?
No.
Or whatever, when you
So-
do the electeds.
We did that for this year. Every year we do a new resolution. And so if you decide that you want to change the commission salaries, you can do that and it would be in effect for the entire next year. So it's set by a resolution, so. It just takes everybody, a majority.
I'm just putting it on the table. I'm not saying we have to do it today, but again, I firmly believe we should lead by.
Right. Exactly. Weed control and stuff on the landfill, same thing. We gotta lead by example, so I agree. So,
Okay, so is the board, I want to make sure that I am good to go to publish the summary with if we can get as close as possible to the actual taxes from last year.
On the right track.
I would say the funding plan is in accordance with our vision.
I agree.
Any dissent?
Okay, that's what I needed. We still will be able to tweak things and I will be doing some changing within the funds.
You said we got published by Labor Day?
Yeah, I need to have that to the paper on Monday, so I will be,
Is that an option? Are they?
Yeah.
They're open?
I've already double checked it all.
We're not gonna miss something.
We will not miss
We
the
don't have a holiday on Labor Day, unlike some people.
I will be making sure that it's all ready to go and I will have it to them on Monday.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Eric.
and then I'll go back through and make sure that everybody understands and if they have tweaks within their funds that we need to try to make, then we can. So we do have at the September 2 meeting, I'll at least provide you more of a finalized copy. I don't know, I wouldn't expect that we would necessarily go through line by line unless you have questions. And then, but on the 15th, that's your public hearing. So that's when we would typically adopt the budget, but if there's some sort of reason that you decide not to at that time, you can delay the adopting of the budget slightly. Like by a week maybe, but you can't increase anything.
48 hours.
You could decrease, okay? I know that took a while, but
No, it's needed. I mean, it was faster than some of the years in the past. We've had days,
Yeah.
days.
I did not go through the capital improvement fund. And I haven't really looked at that too much, but, cause it's not a levied fund, but we could look at that real quick. That's on JLBI capital improvement. Okay, so that's the one that's funded by those transfers. So Commissioner Becker said something about maybe you can always reduce the transfers. You can, and then that affects this. So in the current year, I do have that 1.435039 in there, and then you had previously approved some base work, which I put in here. So what I'll do is I'll adjust the middle column only to projects that we expect to either do or have completed, and then the rest of it will all go to the next year so we have budget authority in that year to do the project. So if we have our transfers and these will change slightly next year, but I use this year's amounts just as a starting point. For the work that we've already committed to, it looks like with those transfers coming in, it looks like we would have just under probably around 2.4 million to do projects with next year, unless we aren't able to fund that. Does anybody have questions about that? We look pretty on track for that, but again, I need to get in and do the detailed work on this fund. I have not done that yet.
Hope that cost share comes.
Yeah, I hope so too. And then, the other one we didn't talk about was the, we're not gonna talk about it now either because I just forgot. So, sorry. Oh my gosh, that just went away.
No.
Oh, special equipment. That's the other one that's funded by transfers. We are gonna need to republish the special equipment fund for this year because we ended up with more money and so we spent more money. We bought some things that were not in the budget for this year, the belly dump and so I did tell you we probably would have to amend that fund for this year. So we'll start that process shortly and have that done. We did not do a lease purchase. You had said something about doing a lease purchase for the grader that we bought, but we have not paid for the dump truck yet. I would ask if it would be okay to just do the lease purchase for the dump truck that we don't have yet. Rather than go
Assume
back
that
and
would
do.
be come into play, cause it's basically getting replaced 3 or 4 years ahead of the existence of the one that was totaled, so as a way to, what's the extra cost of them nowadays?
I did, on the special equipment fund. Let me go back here now, sorry. You guys are probably really ready to be done. But,
I'm warming up more and more to the lease purchase. I watched my interest rate drop the other day, so I think that's gonna start trending.
I did put the dump truck in here. I think that like in the current year, if we just republish our budget, we can cover it without having probably to do a lease purchase on it. And I did not go back. I guess it kind of got away from me to go back and do a lease purchase on that grader. So I think I dropped the ball on that because we already had it. But next year, I've got our lease purchase payments in here. And then basically, we would have about 183,000 for equipment purchases total for, so next year may be when we would need to look at lease purchases. So if I can fund the dump truck this year without a lease purchase, do you want me to do that, or do you want me to seek bids for a lease purchase on it?
If there's funding, and we might as well, I mean, the rates are still semi-high, but next year the rates, the rates will be dropping.
Yeah, before Christmas.
So
I just, does everyone agree? Is anybody dissenting with Jonah? Because
yeah, there you go. Thanks for clearing it up.
everybody agrees.
Put it on Jonah.
Well, I mean, I'm not hearing any other feedback, and I just want to make sure that,
We've got the funds available,
It's at $80,000
you know, we'll go,
purchase,
we'll take the chance that rates are dropping.
$80,000 for the truck.
the dump truck,
Yeah.
no, it's like 300,000.
That was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably thinking about the semi that we got.
Yes,
Well,
yeah, I bet you are. We paid those outright also. That was a used semi truck and the belly dump trailer, a new one. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm done.
Before we drop it all, I told Mike we'd wait till we had the budget discussion. We'll go back and talk about this concrete out here.
Oh,
So, is there money available in your capital outlay?
can I put it on the agenda for the next meeting?
Okay.
So I can just check all my figures and make sure that I would have allowed enough in there.
Okay. I just don't wanna throw a wrench into hitting the revenue neutral.
Right, I think we could do it. I think it's a pretty important project, but I don't know what's gonna go wrong with any of the buildings either, so.
It's important that we provide adequate access to the public, for one thing.
Right.
And so it's,
I'd be comfortable being able to fund it if it comes in at that level.
We'll just take it up later. We'll just make sure something in your mind when you bring it back, so.
Okay.
Is the work on the courthouse a firm bid or this an estimate? What they're doing now?
We did, it was a bid.
It's a bid.
Okay.
Bid, and I think-
We might have to.
I think there was a little bit of flexibility in that bid, though. It was
There
if there's
is.
some square foot.
Yeah.
Like, if it grew to be bigger than what they predicted, then you'd
Yeah.
be charged per square foot.
Right.
And they came back and said that they didn't think that was.
Yeah, they've reviewed it pretty well.
There's
They,
a lot of unknowns here.
right, there always is with that kind of work, so.
Awesome. All right, so do you need anything from us as far as motions or?
I'm good with your consensus
Yeah, we got consent.
on this.
We can move forward and get her published.
Okay. Okay, that is all I have.
Now, commission comments.
Okay, Sunflower Wind blade replacement project. Back in February, or in April, Orsted sent a note to Sharon stating that that turbine blade would be removed with a sectional removal and disposal, which they have not, they have not come forward and told us exactly what they're gonna do, so this is my personal speculation. Which to me means they were gonna set the crane up, they were gonna go up, they were gonna cut off a section at a time, lower it to the ground, and remove it from the county. Yesterday, I spent a couple hours out there watching them go up and down that tower with a crane and a bucket with 3 guys. A couple weeks ago, they sent us a note saying that it was gonna be a energized removal with no explanation of what an energized removal was. I'm sitting there watching them from a half a mile away because they won't let me into the site to observe what they're doing. And I'm sitting there watching them and I'm thinking about what is an energized removal. And it occurred to me that the crane they have out there is no way capable of lowering that blade. I mean, if they hook that blade to the crane they've got out now, it would wad that crane up like a pretzel. So I'm sitting there thinking, what's an energized removal?
I bet that explains that.
Explosion.
And I sitting there thinking of that, they're gonna blow this thing up and let it drop to the ground. And so I wanna show you what that happened, what that looks like. If you can play that video, this is a video from, no, the other one, that one right there. Now this is a complete tower removal.
Here we go. 10.
This is not a blade removal, but it's a complete tower removal, but you'll get an idea of what's gonna happen. So if you can watch this video for me. There's their controlled explosion that they've requested a permit for. And this is what happened. Eventually, this is gonna happen 185 times in this county. Because,
So you're saying it's not just a blade removal, it's the whole tower?
no, that video is the whole tower removal. They're gonna blow the blade up and let the blade drop.
You wanna see what the blade does when it hits the ground by itself.
When the blade hits, and that blade is not a complete tower, so it's an airfoil, so it's gonna come down faster than a feather, but it's gonna come down like a feather. It's not gonna come straight down. It's gonna, because of the aerodynamics of that, I don't know what it's gonna.
It's gonna have a sled effect.
It's gonna have a sled effect. Now,
Sitting back.
their own this is what they sent us. That approximately 97% of the blade will be consumed in this process, and that's talking about taking it out and recycling it. My concern is what's happening with the other 3%. Now, Dave, if you had an employee spill a bucket of ink on your shop floor from your screen printing processes, and they said, "Oh, we'll clean up 97% of it," what would you say?
The other 3% is probably the nuts and bolts on the head house.
Well, they say 97% of the blade will be consumed. To me, that means you saw all the dust and debris. Then once they get it down, they gotta cut it up. They say it's non-toxic. I say there's carcinogenic materials in there. If you look at 97% of one of those blades, they don't tell us what they weigh, but I looked online and the typical blade assembly for a 2 megawatt tower weighs 72 tons. That makes each of those blades approximately 50,000 pounds. If they remove 97% of it, that leaves 1,440 pounds of debris that they're not accounting for. If you multiply that by 3 blades by 185 wind turbines in Marion County, that's 800,000 pounds of fiberglass debris that they are not going to remove from this county. I talked to Brad. I came in yesterday afternoon after I kind of, again, this is my opinion of what they're going to do. They have not been straightforward and come to us and told us what they're going to do. But when I called Brad, he says, "Oh, well, that explains why they're asking for a controlled demolition permit." I asked him to stop that process until they come in and explain to us what they're actually going to do. I don't feel that, like I say, eventually all 185 of these turbines have got to come down.
Lifespan's about 25 years if you get a good one.
Well,
You stopped up at the
It's
office.
gonna happen.
But the blade lifespan is only 10 years. And so that's 185 times 3. I mean, the potential is that, if you look online, the blade failures rate is extremely high. So that 800,000 pounds is just the total decommissioning. Every time they take one of these blades out, that's 1,400 pounds of fiberglass debris that they're not accounting for. And, they say, well, it's not toxic, but
Have you stopped up here at the office and visited with them and, knock on the door, they'll talk to you?
I think that,
I've asked them for information twice.
Is the one guy agreed to come? Can't remember the guy that sent the email.
Thomas guys.
They do say in here that the fiberglass resins are safe under normal operations, which when they're confined and they're not gonna recycle them, they're gonna grind them up and put them in concrete and encase them somewhere else. They're not actually recycling, they're reusing. Cutting fiberglass can release fine glass particles that can irritate skin, eyes, respiratory system. All workers are required to wear personal protective equipment. So, my question is, how are we protecting our citizens in Marion County with that debris is gonna go somewhere. It's gonna blow in the wind, it's gonna settle, it's gonna wash into our waterways, it's gonna leave the county eventually. It's gonna get in the water courses and it's gonna go somewhere. It doesn't deteriorate, it doesn't go away.
I think a person needs to define that 3%.
I'm just saying,
I know you got a letter.
I'm saying what they're saying.
It's kind of vague though.
One thing I do know is that debris that's present on the ground will have to be remediated. So that doesn't account for what you're saying of if there's something that's blowing, but our requirement will be that anything that is any kind of fiber or anything that's on the ground will have to be remediated. So I do know that's part of the requirement.
And the photo that they provided, in the one email that I got, I mean, it's scorched earth. It looks like they've scraped everything off, and you've got to remediate that. That site's native prairie. I'm 99% sure that the area around that turbine is native prairie, and when you scrape up everything, you can't restore that. You can plant grass back on it, but
It's never the same.
but you've lost that native prairie forever.
I got a 40 that's planted back to native grass. Used to be wheat field, and it's not the same as.
It's not the same as
grass over here, so.
You know, they, in their email to you,
Gotta go.
Well, I'll be back. I just
they
have to go for a second.
they claim that they want to be open and transparent and work with the county. We hear that all the time, yet they've never come. They haven't been here. They've been working on this expansion for 2 years. I mean, it was 2 years ago that I came to this commission and said, this is what they're doing. And to my knowledge, they have never come in and told the commission, this is what we're doing. And, you know, I spent the last couple of days looking through our zoning regulations, and, you know, Brad had said that he had completed the Article 27, his review of it. It has not got back to, as of last night, it has not got back to planning and zoning. It hasn't come back to us, which I requested. I think we need to seriously look at adding some strict restrictions. The state does not have any requirements. I've talked to KDHE. They don't have any requirements for how this stuff is dealt with. I've talked with some state senators about trying to push KDHE to develop guidance. But we can't wait for that. I feel like we need to develop some restrictions in Marion County that protect Marion County, because I'm sorry, but I don't want to see that happen 185 times in Marion County.
So we're trying to get the engineer on this job to come talk to us Monday about what he did.
I asked Brad to contact them and put this project on hold until they come and explain to us.
I don't know.
I won't have, they got a crew there already.
So, you know, those blades, when they were put up, weren't they bolted on somehow?
Yeah.
But that's too much of an expense to go up there and unbolt them. It's a lot cheaper just to blow it off.
It's a lot cheaper to blow it up. That's
It
the
seemed to
bottom
me
line.
like then they're gonna have to do a whole bunch of maintenance before they would be able to bolt another one on.
Well, that's why they're gonna blow it off, and then GE, who's gonna replace the blade, they're gonna come in and they're gonna take that last 6 feet off. They're gonna unbolt that last section. Cause there's,
Oh, so it's,
I watched them go up and down in that basket for 2 hours, and
so they're not blowing it all the way up to where it's attached.
it's 6 feet, about 6 feet below where it's attached is
You
where
see the
they're,
line with
where
it.
they're working, putting their charges. And I don't know if they were putting charges, I couldn't see what they were actually doing because I was a half mile away. But it appears to me that, you know, that they're, and her description of their permit request would verify that they're putting a string of charges around that blade so they can blow it and let it drop to the ground. And when it drops to the ground, it's not gonna be pretty. And
It's definitely gonna disturb a lot.
And that's where, you know, I'm assuming that's where that 97% comes, because they're not gonna be able to clean all that up.
Well, hopefully they'll drop it on the gravel pad they got. You know, the road they got there already.
They can't control where that drops.
Well,
No.
they can turn their head. I'm sure they know how to do that. I mean, this isn't the first one.
You saw where that one dropped.
They've done two. Well, that's a whole.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have spot mark for that. They've done two up north now so far.
Did they blow them up?
I don't know, but they replaced two blades.
Did they blow them up?
I don't know. I didn't ask him, but I know I have, cycle two have gone. No, they did, I don't know.
Did you touch on whether or not that?
No, they were talking.
Okay. So we got that email from the new
Right.
guy.
But his role is about the project development, so that would be for phase 2.
Yeah.
He is not the one that would come and talk about any
Okay.
maintenance or anything like that.
Jace would have to come talk about that. Okay.
Yes, and I think you had asked Brad to have him come, but I don't know that he has.
I asked Brad again because he got a call from their attorney yesterday morning.
Oh.
About this, and so I asked him to get in touch with their attorney and ask for an explanation from them and for them to come in and explain how they're gonna do this. And I personally, I don't think that it's appropriate that these are handled in this manner. I think the ecological damage is, granted, it's unknown, but there's too much out there for there not to be damage to the county. My personal feelings, and I don't begrudge them fixing their blade, but I think.
Well, they carried it up there intact.
Right.
Should be able to carry it down.
They put them up a piece at a time, they should be able to take them down a piece at a time.
Takes the original crane. That's the big crane.
Takes a crane with 10 trucks behind it,
Yeah,
Jim.
they're looking at the cheapest route. How about that?
I just feel that we as a county need to step up and
We need to watch this one carefully, see what happens, so we'll questions to ask them.
I mean, I don't wanna wait and watch it blow up, because once they blow it up, you can't undo it.
I did look at the last, 2 meters or whatever they said to cut off. Rather than waiting for an explanation, I just started researching this. It's typically for blade failures and insurance. So they have to be able to send in that much of the blade so it can be tested.
The last,
2 feet of the tip or whatever, yeah. So I just got, it doesn't, I was
I
curious.
thought the skin came off this one, off the edges.
No,
Lightning hit this one.
there's a big hole in it.
Okay.
The whole blade is held together with duct tape right now, to keep it from totally disintegrating. If you look at it with binoculars, I don't know if it's duct tape, it may be ratchet straps, but there's 15 or 20 bands around it holding the blade together, because there's a big hole in it, and there's a big crack going up one side and a big crack going up the other side, where it's trying to delaminate and literally come apart.
I'm assuming there's no way that it is safe to try to drop that to the ground in one piece or haul it off in one piece regardless.
They brought it in one piece and they put it up in one
But it was
piece.
structurally sound when they put it up in one piece, and now it ain't. And that's common thought theory.
But you can still, you should still be able to hook up to it, unbolt it, and have a controlled descent on it.
They're just looking at the cheapest route.
They're looking at the cheapest route. But like I say, I did talk to Brad yesterday, and he had been contacted by their attorney, and I asked that we get an explanation of exactly what they're planning, because this has been going on since March, and we haven't heard, other than a few snippets of, first it was a sectional removal. And now it's blowing it up and letting it drop. If you look on that website, there's some other pictures of blades laying on the ground after they've dropped them. If you go back up to services,
Break apart when they fall down.
you scroll down a little bit.
More?
Yeah. That's what a blade looks like when it's on the ground. Those are all pieces and parts where it has shattered. That one, it looks like they probably cleared the ground before they dropped it, because you can see there's nothing but bare dirt there. Again, I can't get to the site. I don't know what prep work they've done immediately below that site to see if they've.
I've actually drove back to the windmill, and there's probably a 200 by 200, I call it a parking lot, a gravel. Because they've got,
It's an acre. It's an acre.
that they got,
They're taxed at a commercial acre.
it's already gravel.
Or they're not taxed, but
Because the
if
service,
they were taxed, they would be taxed at a commercial acre.
there's 3 windmills right there on the spot, and they got a big work area to access the other 2.
So then they have to, if they drop that blade on that gravel and it shatters,
You have to pick up the gravel.
they gotta remove all that gravel.
Yeah.
Because once those fibers get into that gravel,
That's assuming that the blade drops straight.
assuming the blade drops straight.
They won't want it to drop straight because there's a chance you injure the tower
Exactly.
and the whole thing comes down.
Probably not the first one.
Yeah, I know.
I just wish they were a little more open and transparent if they wanna be a part of this community. That, to me, that means a little bit of transparency and coordination, rather than calling you yesterday or the day before and say, we're gonna blow this thing, we wanna know if we have to have it. They could have told us that 2 weeks ago when they sent that email saying it was gonna be an energized removal.
Right, and just to be clear, that the communication that came through the website was requesting the permit, or whether we needed a permit or not, was not from the wind farm itself. It was from,
WinDecom.
it was from a contractor that works with WinDecom. So it wasn't even,
Wasn't even WinDecom.
no, it was another company. A sub, right, so. It, nothing, that's all.
So Tina sent you my AI notes from my,
Yep,
but there was a second meeting after. And I didn't, and that was all, it was legislative policy positions by KAC. So every year, we'll go down for KAC and we'll have to listen to what hills they're going to die on, basically. A couple of them that kind of perked my ears were the property tax split. There's a bunch of different ways in looking at things. things, and I was like, so they were talking about having to have property tax for counties and then property tax for all the other entities. You had to write 2 different checks. I said, well, you're still writing the check to the county both times, so I don't know that you're fixing anything. But it does make some people realize that it's not just the county that's taxing you, it's these other things. But I thought it might be a little bit of a messy situation, was my opinion there. And on the appraiser, there was thoughts and kicks around about seeing if they would become a state employee. I am originally all at the home rule side of things, and I don't like that idea, and I voiced that I didn't like it. Then they came up with just a name change of the appraiser to where it kind of highlights that that it's for the state. Like, because the counties are getting blamed for just, there's an assumption out there that we're telling the appraiser to jack it up because we need more money.
It's not that, they're following.
They're following a state rule.
State rule.
And so there's some stuff there to be, that's gonna come up. There were some topics that I took out of it. There's some other ones. Leavenworth County passed a resolution to go to that for any abortions in Kansas, and had a parent out of state, and the parent had to be notified. And it's I agree with it. I don't know if you go messing.
There's no government.
You're better off going to your legislators with that and letting them create something.
One suggestion, or just something to put on your radar with the legislative matters, if you're getting KAC's involvement. Right now, I know the treasurers have been working on this for a while, but like all of the services that they provide for the state, which is all the vehicle titles, all the driver's license, those are services that are state services. And they have not increased the amount that they pay the treasurer's office for those services like since 1987. So we're getting just like a few cents, but they expect us to keep doing those services. So
Topic did come up, and it was I wasn't gonna say it was real contentious, but there was some feelings on why KAC is taking a position on that if the treasurers aren't part of KAC.
well, it affects.
I know, it affects, and that's what the consensus was.
Okay, sorry.
That's what the consensus was at the end, was it is.
Contentious here.
Well, it's because it affects your county budget, so
Oh my
therefore
gosh,
it
it's a
comes in,
huge
so then it
impact on
comes
that
into the
county.
commissions.
Right.
But there was a little bit of hot topic about that, because the appraisers are part of it, the clerks are part of it, and it was like,
Put it on as a commission concern then, not if yeah, I don't even have words for that right now, but
that didn't come from the
but it's,
KAC
I
board.
know, okay, good.
That did not come from the
Keep your
KAC
name out of
board.
it.
Or not the staff.
Right,
It was a couple board people.
they probably heard that. But I just, but it is a big impact financially to counties, and that's your realm. So it does,
It's kind of like recycled trash, not breaking even.
so,
Those are some of the things that our legislators need to know about,
Yes.
that have been thrown on the back burner for 2-3 decades.
right, and as we move forward, it's gonna become more important.
So there are some things that still need to be ironed out, but
Yeah.
next month is supposed to solidify it, and then it'll be ready for KAC for a vote for amongst the whole voting delegates. So anyway, don't get hot blooded.
I'm
Don't
fine.
get hot headed over there.
That is,
It is something.
I agree, that's an issue. I mean, we as a county have an obligation to provide those services to our citizens.
Yeah.
But it's a state function, and we should be pushing for adequate reimbursement for that.
And that was another big one was, there was a whole topic to itself was unfunded mandates. I've said,
I mean, that's.
I've said
that's
that, I've carried that from Kent up there and said it enough times that it made it on there.
Well, that's one that we started out being reversed, being compensated for, and at the time, it was probably adequate.
Yeah.
Now it's become a unfunded mandate.
Right, and I just learned from, I think it was Tina that told me yesterday that Riley County is not gonna be offering those services anymore. Don't quote me on that, but there is some movement in Riley County away from providing those services.
Well, Riley County has one of those that is even worse than off than us on having tax exempt.
But if we didn't, it would come right back to us.
Well, I mean, everybody's required to have it, and they want the service local.
Sure.
So, anyway.
Anyway, there was a whole nother, I think it was
changes things.
Well, I was in Topeka I think I left at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. by the time that was all said and done. So the regular meeting was pretty short and sweet, an hour and 10 minutes. The next meeting wasn't so short and sweet. So anyway, that's all I got. Nothing.
Where are we on selling the 10 acres?
Same place we were last time, waiting on a survey.
The last is, he told me to be nice to Darren. I don't know how
Tina
grinding,
didn't say that.
No, I didn't.
how grinding down a low spot is gonna fix that, or them cracks west of the tracks.
That would have been a great question to ask while he was here, because maybe he doesn't, maybe he's not aware of the area that you're talking about, or what you've seen.
Well, I'm not an engineer, so I'm sure my opinion does not count.
We'll go out, take a road trip. It's just supposed to be done by this afternoon, so. All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Rules I can't.
I'll second
All those in favor? Aye. 5-0. We are adjourned.
it.
There you go.
Regular time,
Yes.
and